David begins this psalm in a lot of pain. In fact, 4 times he begins with how long. In the original language, in the Hebrew, it's ad anah, which literally means until where? Until where? David starts his prayer really going at God, and he's not being subtle about it at all. How long? Until where? Ad anah. But not only that, this is God's inspired word. David, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, says back to God, ad anah. These are God-inspired words. We have a God who is not only okay with us saying to him how long or until where, but we actually have a God who gives us the words ad anah. So right now you might have fears. You might have doubts. You might have frustrations. You might have pain. You might have worries. And God says, say anah, and God says, say ad anah to me. That's what he says. He says, yell, come at me, shake your fist, cry out until where, how long? You know the story of Job? Job was a man who loved God, and he tried very hard to live an obedient life before God. But Satan comes to God and he says, you know, Job only obeys you. He only loves you because you bless him. You take all that blessing away, you allow him to suffer, man, he'll turn on you so quickly. So God allows Satan to bring suffering to Job. Now y'all listen, I want to love God and be obedient to God so much, but just slightly less than Job. Because Job, for 37 chapters, goes through one tragedy after the next. And although sometimes Job will say something like, I know my Redeemer lives, that's Job 19:25. Most of the time in those 37 chapters, he's just complaining and he's crying out and he's angry and he's shaking his fist to the heavens. He spends a lot of time telling God about how obedient he is and how good he is and how God's really giving him a raw deal with all of this. But you know, at the end of those 37 chapters, and after God gives one of the greatest responses of all time, beginning with, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? God then looks at Job and he says, you've done good. Now, if you're reading it, you're thinking, what? What do you mean he's done good? He spent the entire time complaining and crying out and doubting and being mad and throwing the fist up towards the heavens. You're thinking, what in the world? But God says, good job. How is that? Ad anah. God not only gives us permission to come to him with all our feelings, but he instructs us to do so. Job did a good job because he took everything he was feeling and he laid it right at God's feet.